Camera bodies get replaced every year or two, but lenses are the real investment that stays with you for a decade. And in 2026, six lenses have completely rewritten the rules of that investment. These aren't just popular lenses, they're lenses that have quietly killed the sales of their own bigger, more expensive siblings and forced rival brands to rethink their entire lineups. Before we dive in, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our next gear breakdown. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why these six lenses are dominating the market right now and which lenses got left behind because of them. Here's the thing about the lens market in 2026. It's no longer just about who makes the sharpest glass. It's about who can give photographers and videographers the best combination of size, weight, price, and versatility, because that's what actually decides what stays in someone's bag. Third-party brands like Sigma and Tamron have spent the last few years chipping away at the native brands, and now Sony, Nikon, and Canon are firing back with their own leaner, smarter designs. The lenses we're ranking today aren't picked randomly. They're chosen based on real sales performance, reviewer consensus, and how much they've disrupted the market since launch. Let's start small. First up is the Sigma 18-50mm f2.8 DCDN, and this is, hands down, the best-selling APS-C zoom lens on the market right now. It covers a 27-75mm equivalent range, holds a constant f2.8 aperture through the entire zoom, and weighs just 290 grams. To put that in perspective, it's roughly a quarter of the weight and price of a typical f2.8 standard zoom. So why is it selling so well? Simple. It undercuts everything else in its class. Sony's own E16-55mm f2.8G costs more than double, and Tamron's 17-70mm f2.8 is significantly bigger and heavier. Sigma essentially built a Trinity-grade lens for APS-C shooters at a fraction of the size and cost, and it's now available across Sony E-mount, L-mount, and even Canon RF mount, which was previously starved of decent third-party glass. The audience need here is obvious. APS-C shooters, especially beginners and content creators, wanted professional-grade image quality without professional-grade bulk or price. This lens fulfills that perfectly. And the fallout? Kit lenses and Canon's own RFS 18-45mm have taken a hit because once photographers realize they can get a constant f2.8 zoom for not much more than a slow kit lens, there's very little reason to stick with the basic option. Next is the Sigma 28-70mm f2.8 DGDN, the full-frame version of that same philosophy. This lens exists almost entirely to answer one question: what if you could get a desert island 24-70mm f2.8 style lens but smaller, lighter, and nearly half the price? At around $899, it undercuts Sigma's own 24-70mm f2.8 art by roughly $200, while being significantly lighter, nearly half the weight of the art version. What makes this lens so competitive is that it was built specifically to go head-to-head with Tamron's massively popular 28-75mm f2.8. Sigma looked at how well that lens was selling and essentially said, "We want a piece of that market too." The trade-off is minor. You lose 4mm at the wide end and full weather sealing, but you gain a genuinely professional-feeling lens at a price point that entry-level full-frame shooters can actually justify. The audience here is budget-conscious enthusiasts and professionals who don't need the absolute best optics, just reliably good ones. And the value drop is clear: heavier, pricier f2.8 standard zooms, including Sigma's own Art Series 24-70mm, have become a much harder sell to anyone who isn't a working professional who genuinely needs that extra 4mm in weather sealing. Now let's talk about the Tamron 25-200mm f2.8-5.6D I3V XDG2, which might be the smartest one-lens-does-it-all solution released this year. It's the successor to Tamron's already popular 28-200mm, but this G2 version pushes the wide end out to 25mm, adds a faster VXD linear focus motor, and improves close focus capability to near half macro magnification. This lens is selling because it solves a very specific, very common problem. Nobody wants to carry three lenses on a trip. With an 8 times zoom range and a bright f2.8 aperture at the wide end, this single lens can realistically replace a standard zoom and a telephoto zoom combined. Reviewers have consistently called it one of the best travel and walk-around options available, even comparing it favorably against Sigma's competing 20 to 200 millimeters. The audience is travel photographers, vloggers, and hybrid shooters who prioritize convenience over squeezing out the last 5% of optical perfection. And because of this lens, dedicated telephoto zooms and multi-lens travel kits have taken a real hit. Why carry 2 or 3 lenses when one covers almost everything you need at a lighter overall weight and lower combined cost? On the Nikon side, the Nikon Z 24 to 120 mm f4S has become the default lens that Nikon shooters reach for. It's not the sharpest lens in Nikon's lineup. That title still belongs to the 24 to 70 mm f2.8S, but it's become so popular that it actually won an informal poll as Nikon's best lens of all time, beating out 256 competing lenses. The reason is versatility. It offers a 5 times zoom range in a single constant f4 aperture package at a price around $1,000 to $1,150, which is dramatically cheaper than the f2.8 Trinity lens. It slots in perfectly between Nikon's compact 24 to 70 mm f4S and the heavier, pricier 24 to 70 mm f2.8S, giving photographers a just right middle ground. This lens is fulfilling the need of photographers who don't want to think about lens changes, landscape shooters, travel photographers, and everyday shooters who want one lens on their camera at all times. And the impact on the market has been noticeable. Demand for the narrower 24 to 70 mm f4S has softened, and fewer photographers feel the need to rent or buy separate telephoto glass for general use, since 120 mm covers most casual telephoto needs. Now here's a lens that completely disrupted Canon's telephoto lineup. The Canon RF 100 to 400 mm f5.6 to 8 ISU SM. When it launched, Canon's only native RF telephoto option was the RF 100 to 500 mm f4.5 to 7.1 L, priced around $2,800 to $2,900. The RF 100 to 400 mm came in at less than a quarter of that price, around $649 to $749, while still delivering genuinely strong image quality, 5.5 stops of stabilization, and fast nano USM autofocus. The variable f5.6 to 8 aperture is a real compromise, and it's not built for low light or fast action in dim conditions, but for wildlife, travel, and hobbyist telephoto use in good light. It massively over-delivers for the price. That's exactly why it's become one of the best-selling lenses in Canon's RF catalog. It opened up telephoto photography to Canon mirrorless shooters who simply couldn't justify spending 3 or 4 times as much on the L-series option. The audience is budget-conscious hobbyists, wildlife beginners, and anyone who wants reach without committing to professional-grade spending. And predictably, this lens has pulled sales away from the RF 100 to 500 mm L at the entry level, and it's made adapted EF telephoto lenses far less attractive to new Canon mirrorless shooters, since there's now a proper native, affordable option. Finally, the Sony FE 24 to 70 mm f2.8 GM2, widely regarded as the benchmark standard zoom for full-frame mirrorless right now. Sony's engineering focus with this lens was singular: make it the smallest and lightest f2.8 24 to 70 mm of any full-frame system. At 695 grams, it's roughly 20% lighter and 18% smaller than the original GM version, while improving sharpness, autofocus speed, and weather sealing at the same time. This lens beats its own predecessor so convincingly that reviewers routinely recommend new buyers skip the original GM entirely. But it also has to contend with genuinely excellent budget alternatives, the Tamron 28 to 75 mm G2 and Sigma's 24 to 70 mm options, which cost less than half the price. The Sony still wins for professionals because of its faster, more reliable autofocus, superior chromatic aberration control, and dramatically lighter build for all-day event and wedding work. The audience here is working professionals who need the absolute best performance and are willing to pay a premium for it. And the value shift is interesting. While Tamron's 28 to 75mm G2 continues to sell extremely well as the budget option, the original Sony GM1 has seen its resale value drop significantly, since most buyers now either go for the superior GM2 or save money with the third-party alternatives instead. If you look at all 6 of these lenses together, a very clear pattern emerges. Every single one of them prioritizes being smaller, lighter, and more affordable than what came before it, without sacrificing the core image quality that photographers actually need. Sigma and Tamron have proven that third-party lenses can now go head-to-head with native glass, and in some cases even beat it on value. Meanwhile, Sony, Nikon, and Canon have responded not by making their premium lenses more expensive, but by releasing smarter, more accessible options that still carry their brand's reputation for quality. The overall market is shifting away from bulky, do-everything professional zooms and toward lighter, more practical lenses that fit how people actually shoot in 2026. More travel, more hybrid photo-video work, and less patience for carrying heavy gear all day. So to quickly recap, the Sigma 18 to 50mm and 28 to 70mm are winning on price to performance for APS-C and full-frame shooters. The Tamron 25 to 200mm is winning as the ultimate travel one-lens solution. Nikon's 24 to 120mm f4S is winning as the default all-rounder. Canon's RF 100 to 400mm is winning by making telephoto photography affordable. And Sony's 24 to 70mm GM2 is winning as the gold standard for professionals who want the best without the bulk. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 6 lenses do you actually own, or which one are you planning to buy next? Drop it in the comments below. And if this breakdown helped you understand where the lens market is heading in 2026, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more gear analysis like this